You're watching the 2023 City of Detroit Political Overview with Khary Frazier of Detroit is Different and Malachi Barrett of Bridge, Detroit. This was the first year of the Reparations Task Force. What update can you provide about the task force thus far?
I think it's in a uncertain place right now. Mother Joanne Watson died. She was a major force on the Reparations Task Force. She had spent, most of her life advocating for this at the federal level and had been a leader on this, one-of-a-kind effort here in Detroit after voters overwhelmingly said we want a task force to study this and come up with recommendations. So that loss was very heavy, I know. And then two other members, including Lauren Hood, was the co-chair, decided to leave at the end of the year. So there are 3 vacancies now on this board, and the 2 that left had a lot of frustrations with, a lot of things, with the process, with how they were being equipped by City Council, how much resources they were getting from City Council to do the work. They got a budget of $350,000. They didn't spend much of it this year. They were trying to hire consultants. They need basically process people to come on board and help them figure out how are they going to address this massive question, right?
And let me say this, because I'm on one of the, I'm connected to this. I've been at the meetings. I want to say I showed up at the first meeting and gave my address on ideas of what I think could help with reparations.
And you have to show up in person, because another problem of this is the Zoom meetings have not been held. The virtual meetings have been sporadic, and people even kind of getting a sense of what is the Reparations Task Force doing has been tough.
So the first thing is the reparations, and shout out Keith Williams. Keith Williams was big in this. Got this on the ballot. Moved it forward, and after it moved forward, it came into the city of Detroit, where City Council President Mary Sheffield, shout out to Mary Sheffield, took the lead, and this is a task force led through her office.
Well,
but it's an independent body, but it was introduced through her office. Let's put it like that. And
council members appointed members as well, not just her other council members.
Yes, yep. Definitely. And the functionality is reparations for specifically how the city of Detroit harmed Detroiters, a lot of black Detroiters, like the 375 project with Black Bottom. And really, you think of all freeways, even the first freeway right behind where Malachi is sitting, the Davidson Freeway, and how that impacted disproportionately a lot of black families. I mean, I want to say it's on record where I forget which mayor that is, but one of the mayors explicitly said, yeah, we can do a freeway as long as it go through the black community. So things like that will need to be studied, looked at, quantified, and then how things can be made whole.
They have 18 months since their first meeting, so October of next year is when they're supposed to have recommendations.
Yes.
And from the beginning, nobody involved in this work said, we're going to very quickly have one. I mean, this is a very complicated thing, and even more complicated will be, how do you fund the programs that come out of this? How do you fund the recommendations? Where does the money come from?
That'll
be a big fight.
That's going to be something, and more will come from that. I'm asking you from a person on the pulse, and then knowing a lot of the, Mama Watson, that was my godmother, and having a relationship with Lauren Hood, having a relationship with Keith Williams, some of the other people on the committee, and then knowing the work of Bernard Parker and some of the others. I do expect more to come. I do want to touch on that because that was a big story. That was a national story as it happened, and I definitely did want to make reference to that.
Keith is pretty optimistic that we'll see some of the fruits of their labor soon. Yeah. And I think there's a lot of things. I mean, the highways alone, there's a lot of historic documentation of specific things that either the city of Detroit government did, the state government did, the federal government did that, disadvantaged black people intentionally, right?
Yeah.
So proving that I don't think will be difficult. I think the tricky thing will be do the proposals make sense? Are they legal?
I'll tell you the two things that are tough. You can't have black people paying a tax, quote unquote, on we can't.
If it comes from the city's money,
I can't pay for my own reparations. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A, and B, if we're not paying for it, like, where does it not become one of those other things where it's like, wow, I don't want to do business in there because I got to pay a reparations tax. But I do think that, it's just going to take, like you say, it's going to be, it's just going to take some time.
There's certainly a big expectation from community to get something done here too. Let me, make sure that we emphasize that like more than 70% of voters in Detroit wanted this.
Yeah, it
So
was
there's
a
a real
big,
responsibility and obligation to do something.
honor it.
Yeah.
Honor it.